Hi, everybody. I'm Judy the YouTube Lawyer, back again to continue reading the deposition of J. Shapiro. He's the CPA who assisted Charlie Adelson and his parents in their business. So let's go ahead and get started. And I was pleasantly surprised to hear that there are some CPAs out there or people studying accounting who are really interested in this. So I'm just kind of surprised that there have been so many views on this. So I did want to skip ahead a little bit, though, so I'll just kind of chit chat while scrolling past page 51 and onward just to speed things up a little bit. So for those who really care, you can watch it on replay and pause it so that you don't miss any single word. So I think more of the interesting, or at least to me, the really interesting stuff starts at about page 68. And then they start talking more about the murder of Dan Markel later on. So we will try to go as far as we can in this, but I really don't think I'm going to be able to finish today. There's just so much to read. And as you guys know, I don't have a voice for radio or whatever. I'm not a professional broadcaster, so I do what I can. And hope you guys are enjoying your Saturday. It's always kind of funny to see who's interested in this case and wants to tune in either during the day or on a weekend evening. I do want to also tell you guys that if you're not subscribed to Surviving the Survivor, a really great YouTube channel, then please do check out Surviving the Survivor. And probably on about Wednesday or Thursday, they're going to come out with a video of an interview that was just done yesterday with me and also David Lott, who is very well known as a legal blogger. He was the founder of Above the Law. And he also was friends with Dan Markel from their days back in Harvard for undergrad. So it was very interesting to speak with him, as well as another attorney named John Singer, who is a sort of famous attorney, also graduated from Georgetown Law School, and he is an attorney in New York. So we were all interviewed together as part of that podcast / YouTube channel video. So please subscribe to them and watch whenever it comes out, maybe on Wednesday. Okay, so here we are. They're still talking about Charlie Adelson, DMD, and the different tax forms with the CPA J. Shapiro. The person asking questions is Wendi Furman, who is an attorney from the Miami area who represents the insurance company, and Charlie Adelson is trying to get disability insurance benefits from the insurance company. So let's get started then, or let's continue. Okay, page 68. Question. So on 4564 form, you see those 4 entries, those to your understanding, some kind of dental equipment that he was able to write off the full amount of that equipment in that year? Answer, that is correct. Question, let's do 2015 and then we can take a break. Yes. 2015 return for Dmd Pa, starting with an 1120S, again reflecting gross receipts of $1,139,000 on line 1, and then Charlie has compensation of officers of $183,000 on line 7, correct? Yes, correct. Other deduction statement 2 is $110,000. Turn to other deduction statement 2. Here we've got an administrative fee of $17,508, correct? Yes. And there's nothing separately listed here? No. Question. So turning to Schedule L, we've got beginning of tax year due to Adelson Institute, $60,000 at the beginning of the tax year. By the end of the tax year, that amount is 0. So that loan from the Adelson Institute had been paid back to Charles Adelson, DMD, in that year, 2015, correct? That's accurate, yes. And the same with the Candace Coletta loan, yes. And I looked that up. That was a typo. That person is a dentist in the area. Question. And it says in Schedule L, payroll taxes, that's just Charles Adelson's payroll taxes on his own compensation as an officer, correct? That's the payroll tax liability that existed as of 12/31/15 balance sheet date. Question. And on the 1125A, if you look at the statement 8, the only cost of goods sold identified there are dental supplies for $136,000, correct? Yes, correct. So the 2015, the income of the Dmd Pa is line 1, $698,641. The net income, correct. Question. The distribution taken in that year was $1,095,475, right? Yes. That's all I've got for 2015, and we'll take a break. We can pick up after the break. Okay, how long do you want to take a break for? Videographer, just a second, off the record at 12:55 p.m. So they had lunch, got back on. Sorry about that. Let me get something to drink. Videographer, they're back on at 1:23 p.m. by Ms. Furman. Question. Mr. Shapiro, we took a break after the 2015 Dmd Pa tax return. So we're going to turn to the 2016 Dmd Pa tax return. You have that there in front of you? Yes. And do you have an understanding that Dr. Charles Adelson has alleged that he became disabled sometime in 2016? Yes. What did you understand about that? The client discussed with me that he was filing for disability. Did that occur in 2016? I don't recall. I don't recall when. Did he reach out to you or your office, to your understanding, to obtain documents to submit in support of a claim of disability? Answer, he has. I don't remember when. Do you know if there were other individuals who would have interacted with here at your office for documentation? No. Any request to any of my staff or my admin support would have had to have my approval. So to the extent he was requesting documents in terms of tax returns, supporting documents, and so forth, you would have made anything available to him that you had if he had requested it? Yes. Do you have a recollection of meeting with him in person, talking on the phone about a disability claim? What was the nature? Answer, I had a meeting with him in person. Question, and what did he tell you? Answer, he can't work, he's in pain, and that he thinks that he's going to qualify for disability based on the percentage of his income loss. Question, so this would have been after some period of time where the disability was already impacting him, to your recollection? Answer, yes, I don't remember that. I don't remember when, he had a lot happening in a couple of years span, so thankfully he's not the only client in my office, so I can't tell you exactly when. Question. He's indicated in the complaint against Berkshire that his onset of disability was possibly due to an injury in early 2016, and then he filed a claim later in 2016. Do you have any recollection during that time period of these discussions, or whether it would have been after that period of time? Answer. No, I don't remember that at all. It was just an FYI. This is what I'm doing, and this is what I think the policy says. I said, well, I don't know what the policy says, or I don't know, what the ramifications are. I said, call your agent. Really, that's something that I wouldn't want to get involved with. If he starts asking me questions on the policy, this, that, and the other, that's outside of the scope of what I would do for him or any client. Question. So to your recollection, and didn't come up in the context of after the tax year, and you're sit down and looking at his income, and you see a loss of income relative to 2015, and you have the discussion then. It was sometime during the year he was already telling you that he was experiencing a loss of income? Mr. Loy, objection to form. Ms. Furman, if you recall. Answer, no, I don't want to speculate. I don't remember when. Question, so this would have been an in-person meeting that you had with him separate from preparing tax returns or accounting documents? Answer, it may have been in conjunction with doing some of the work, whether it was, I'm just speculating, he has other entities. He has real estate entities, so he may have had questions on other stuff. And he came in and sat down with me, and I remember discussing the disability with him. He was telling me that his income was diminished at work, whatever. Question. Did you know that he had 2 different insurance companies? Answer. I do know that, yes. Question. So you're aware that he had a standard insurance policy as well? Yes. And that would have been something you would have been aware of based on the premiums for those policies too, in terms of insurance, that he would be allocating those expenses on the tax returns? Mr. Loy. Objection to form. Witness. I'm not sure if I would be, obviously, if we see a disability insurance payment on a return, we know how to handle that. But I do remember being not subpoenaed, but request by another insurance carrier a couple of years ago that we provided information for, and nothing like a deposition or anything like that. It was just a doc request, Ms. Furman. And that would have been from Standard Insurance Company before the Berkshire subpoena? Answer. I don't recall. Sorry about that. If that's the other policy, then it wouldn't have been through the insurance company. It would have been through his lawyers. Question. And obviously, I understand that you would be aware of the Dan Markel murder investigation and the connection in the media and the press with the Adelsons. Is that correct? Yes. Mr. Loy. Objection to form. Ms. Furman. And you became aware of that based on just seeing news reports and local news of the issue of the Dan Markel murder investigation, potentially looking into the Adelsons' involvement with that investigation, correct? Answer. Amongst other things, yes. Question. Did you ever discuss those investigations, the news reports, the publicity with Charlie Adelson? Answer. Yes. Mr. Loy. Objection to form. Witness. Sorry, Alex, one more time. Mr. Loy. Just half a second, I'll be quick. Witness. Okay. You think I would know by now. Ms. Furman. Question. Can you describe what you would have discussed, Dr. Adelson, Dr. Charlie Adelson? Answer. I don't think I had any discussions with him until the young lady was arrested. Question. Catherine McBanua, that was arrested? Answer. Yes. And the discussions were not like other than, it was based on the media coverage. There's nothing in confidence. I don't have a privilege. It wasn't anything he told me about the issues other than the fact that this is out there. Be prepared. You might get subpoenaed, We were actually at a restaurant once, and he thought he was going to get arrested. That's about it. Question. Did he ever indicate that he believed that his practice may have been impacted by the publicity surrounding the Markel murder investigation? Mr. Loy. Objection to form. Witness. I don't remember Charlie saying that, but I do remember Harvey saying that. By Ms. Furman. Question. And what was the discussion that you had with Harvey Adelson on that subject? Answer. That the negative publicity surrounding the trial has affected his reputation with his practice in Coral Springs, and he may or may not be able to survive it. Question. Do you have a recollection of what time period that would have been? Answer. I would say probably within the last few years. I had 1 or 2 conversations with him about it in detail. Question. And this was when you talk about the Woodmont and the Coral Springs, you're talking about the Adelson Institute practice? Correct. Question. That has the Adelson name, correct? Answer. Correct. Question. And in terms of the practice being impacted by this publicity, was it your understanding that they were seeing a decrease in patients and clientele because of the negative publicity? Mr. Loy. Objection to form. Witness. Yes. Ms. Furman. Do you have some sense of what kind of impact it was having on the practice in a percentage or anything like that over this time period you're referring to? Answer. I don't know for certain. I'd have to look at the files year after year, but it's clear, that the numbers are what they are. Question. Has he discussed with you the need to potentially lay off or terminate employees because of this? Mr. Loy. Objection to form. Witness. No, never had that discussion with him. Ms. Furman. Were there other things that he discussed with you, cross-cutting? I guess they meant cost-cutting measures or things that they could do relative to decreased earnings, how they would survive this publicity? Answer. I don't remember talking to him about that. Question. And did he discuss at some point that he was planning to retire and sell the practice? Yes. And part of that motivation to sell it was due to this negative publicity? Mr. Loy. Objection to form. Witness. Well, I mean, also he's got to be in his mid-70s or later. Ms. Furman. And Harvey Adelson has sold the practice to your understanding. Is that correct? That's correct. Were you involved with the sale of the practice or had discussions with him about that? Answer. Very little. Harvey reached out to me probably in an email or a phone call, perhaps, on what the tax effect would be on the sale. And I would explain to him, is it an asset sale or is it a stock sale? And he would have income gained. So that's a standard discussion between CPA and client. Question. And did you understand that Charlie Adelson had been working at the Adelson Institute a fair amount over the last several years? Mr. Loy. Objection to form. Witness. I don't know that. By Ms. Furman. In terms of his practice and these other practices that he also worked at in the 2013, 14, 15 time period, has that part of his practice diminished? Answer. I don't know the details of that. What I do know is that when I first met the Adelsons and Charlie was a client, I know that he had traveled around a lot to do his Perio work, and I know that it diminished. And I don't think we knew anything about the case for years because it was in the media. And I think that's how we found out. Question. You don't have a specific recollection sitting here exactly when this information came to you in terms of the media publicity? Answer. I don't remember the date. I mean, it would have had to have been subsequent to the arrest of the young lady. Question. Catherine Magbanua's arrest is really the thing that you think stuck out the most in terms of this becoming something you are aware of as impacting? Answer. Right, because our work papers were requested for the payroll, and they were on the 2020 special that whether or not she worked for the office, nobody knew, but there were payroll records produced by the accountants. I said, wait a minute, those are ours. Question. So the 2020 episode, I believe, first aired in 2016. So I imagine that through somebody in your office that would have been brought to your attention then. Answer. Right. The Adelsons had requested the payroll for that specific person, and that's when I became aware of it, that there was something that was a key element to her arrest related to the Adelsons. So I agreed to give them whatever we had at the time. We probably had hard copies of the documents related to the payroll and the bank statements and so forth. So we produced what we had. Question. So in terms of what your office did for payroll, you would do their quarterly returns for payroll purposes, correct? Answer. Yes, correct. Question. And you would be accounting for all of their employees' paychecks that they were writing out of the Adelson Institute? Correct. My office would do the payroll returns and do the payroll and issue the W-2s and so forth. So those are the types of documents that, to your understanding, were requested by the Adelsons with respect to Catherine Magbanua. Answer. Yes. They wanted the detail, whatever detail we had, we could produce for them, so we gave it to them. Question. And did the police or any official entity subpoena or obtain records from you regarding the Adelson Institute or its employees? Answer. I was never contacted by law enforcement. Question. You only turned over the records directly to the Adelson? Answer. To the Adelsons. Correct. Question. And have you ever been interviewed or contacted by any authorities regarding those records? Answer. Not a word from law enforcement, but Harvey told me that I might be subpoenaed as a witness. Question. Did you have a discussion with either Harvey or Charlie about what Catherine Magbanua's role at the Adelson Institute had been? Answer. No, not a word. Question. Do you have any understanding of what her role was at the Adelson Institute? Answer. Only what I saw in 2020, you know, that she was on the staff to assist as necessary for the practice and for Charlie. Question. And then since that time period, has this been anything else? Have you discussed with Charlie anything else about the investigation? Answer. No. The only thing I discussed with Harvey more so than Charlie was that he was considering appointing me a trustee of the assets if the family was arrested. Question. Okay. Have you been appointed as a trustee or power of attorney? Answer. I signed some documents a year or two ago, and that's the last I heard of it. Question. That's with respect to assets that the Adelsons, Charlie, Harvey, and Donna Adelson, owned different trusts? Answer. My understanding at the time was Harvey was advised by his lawyer that they may be arrested, and if they are arrested, they would give their professionals access to their documentation to handle their affairs, and I was available for that. Question. So you've agreed to act in that role for them under those papers to your understanding? Answer. That's accurate. Yes. Question. And have you done the same for Charlie, that you have that role that you would occupy for him? Mr. Loy. Objection to form. Witness. I don't believe Charlie ever asked me. If the documents were presented to me from Harvey, that would have probably been on behalf of Charlie. I just don't remember it. I didn't keep copies of it. By Ms. Furman. Question. Do you have an understanding that the family has also moved assets into trusts and so forth relative to concerns about the murder investigation? Mr. Loy. Objection. Counsel, I think this is straying into the realm of harassment. I'm instructing the witness not to answer that question. Ms. Furman. Okay, he's raised the issue of the trust and his role, and we're here to talk about his services for Dr. Charles Adelson, so we are entitled to ask the questions. If the witness chooses not to answer, he may do that if he wants to do that, but I reject that you have the right to instruct him across the board to not answer. You're representing him today for purposes of this deposition, Mr. Loy. I do have the right to instruct him not to answer for straying into harassing questions. This is outside the scope of the case. We're here to testify. Mr. Shapiro is here to testify about the taxes and Dr. Adelson's income. He's not here to speculate about allegations brought or not, assets moved into trust or not, or precautionary measures that any of the Adelsons might have taken with respect to this investigation. It's private. It's totally outside the scope. I'm instructing him not to answer that question. By Ms. Furman. All right. With respect to Harvey's sale of the practice, did he ever express concern that Charlie would not have the Adelson Institute available to him to work at after he sold the practice? Answer. I can't recall. Question. And do you have an understanding of what role, if any, Charlie had in the sale of the practice? Was he involved in the negotiations, or did he ever contemplate purchasing the practice in the recent sale of the practice? Answer. Never had that discussion with Charlie, never had any type of communications with him about that. It was all Harvey. Question. Do you have an understanding that Charlie was still working at the Adelson Institute up until recently? Answer. I can't speculate because I don't know. Question. With the Adelson Institute, once it was sold from Charlie to Harvey, that sale occurred in 2015, correct? Answer. Yes, that's accurate. After the sale of the Adelson Institute, did Charlie Adelson receive any compensation, to your understanding, for work that he performed at the Adelson Institute? Answer. I don't think we show any income related to Charlie from the Adelson Institute subsequent to his sale of the stock. Question. So that would be once he was able to sell the practice back to his father, Harvey. The debt was canceled. Correct. And then Harvey was operating Adelson Institute on his own, to your understanding? Answer. That's accurate. Yes. Question. And in terms of income flowing out of the Adelson Institute to Charlie, he didn't get a W-2? Answer. I don't believe so. Correct. Question. And in terms of payments to him out of the Adelson Institute checking account, if there were payments to him from that checking account, would that have been reflected as income to him? Answer. If they were expensed by the entity, it would have been reported as income to Charlie. If it was a loan, then it would have been booked on the balance sheet as a loan receivable to or from Charlie or Charlie's entity. So I don't believe there was compensation expensed or any type of fee expense on the Adelson Institute to Charlie subsequent to its sale. Question. So separate from whether Charlie was compensated for work at the Adelson Institute, do you have an understanding whether Charlie did actually perform services, periodontal services, at the Adelson Institute after the sale of the Adelson Institute back to Harvey? Answer. I mean, it would be, if I say I don't know, that's not the right answer, because I knew that he was on the staff of the Adelson Institute. And I'm sure that he did work, but I can say with certainty what he did or how much he did, no. But I know that he was involved in rendering services. Whether or not he did them, I don't know. I don't know the daily activity sort of schedules. It was an accountant type of relationship. Question. Okay. But your understanding, at least, was that he did perform some periodontal services. You don't have an understanding of the amount? Answer. I don't know that with certainty. No, I cannot say that under oath with certainty. I mean, you would think as a layman that, yes, he would be available to perform services. So that's sort of where I'm advising right now, that I don't have any exact knowledge of that. Exact knowledge that he performed services. I don't have any document that would indicate that he was due compensation or anything like that. Question. And during the time that he owned the Adelson Institute, did you have an understanding that he performed services there? Same answer. I don't know. I don't know if he was working there or just his affiliation from there. I mean, we just don't know the intricacies of these practice. We knew that we are going to just book the income and expenses based on the individual entities, and that's what we did. I don't know the details of their schedules, their systems, their work-related backgrounds. It is just outside the scope of my relationship. Question. All right. I think we have in front of you the 2016 Dmd Pa tax returns. Yes. And we've been talking about this 2016 as the year that the disability claim was asserted. For this year, you see gross receipts of $669,058 and the cost of goods sold of $80,000, correct? Yes. Compensation of officers, $234,000, is a higher number than prior years, correct? That's accurate, yes. Do you have any understanding of why the compensation increased that year for Charlie? Answer. Good question. He may have wanted to fund more of his defined benefit or SEP plan, so we would have told him to increase his salary. Question. On this tax return to Dmd Pa, is there anything where you would see a SEP type contribution? Answer. No, it was probably funded personally. Question. Okay, so on the Dmd Pa, that's not an expense, it's a liability? Answer. No, it's not reflected on page 1 where it would be a plan. The plan was probably not Dmd Pa. The plan was probably Charlie Adelson from the simplified employee pension. That's why it's not deducted through the entity, but deducted personally by him. Okay. Answer. Because he didn't have employees. Question. The Dmd Pa on statement 2, there's this administrative fee for $35,400. Right. Reflected for 2016. Do you have any understanding of what the administrative fee would be for 2016 for that $35,000 amount? Answer. Well, I mean, I can tell you as an accountant of these entities that it was probably picked up as income from one of the other entities. Question. So one of the other entities, like the Woodmont type, perhaps. Question. Okay. And the payroll taxes in the statement 2 would have been Charlie's payroll for that compensation he was paid? Answer. That's correct. That's accurate. Yes. And then on this deduction, there's a travel expense of $20,541. To your understanding, what were the travel expenses that Charlie Adelson Dmd Pa would be deducting? Answer. Well, a lot of these doctors, I don't know specifically what this deduction was because I'm not looking at their general ledger or detail. But, they go to seminars sometimes. They do business travel for whatever reason. So that's why it was deducted this year, because it was related to whether or not he was specializing in something. We don't know. We don't really ask them questions if they incur travel. I mean, they know that they shouldn't be traveling personally and deducting it. They know they have to go to a seminar or function. They're expanding their service scope or whatever, licensing, whatever. So I would assume that's what it relates to. Question. To your understanding, did Charlie Adelson maintain mileage logs or anything like that where he would take a mileage expense for the driving that he did to these other practices? Mr. Loy, objection to form. Witness. I don't know internally what he kept, but we would deduct the expenses that he would incur. Ms. Furman, because I guess it's my understanding either that or you write off the expenses of the car. Right. So you have actual or mileage, and in this case, it would be actual expenses. Okay, so to your understanding, he wasn't tracking mileage and doing the mileage route? Answer, well, they are supposed to keep a log according to Treasury recs that they go to different offices and that they incur their vehicle for the use of production of income. I don't really have that conversation with the clients anymore, but most of them know that if they use their car for business, they have to keep some type of substantiation, a record. They have to have the ability to be able to prove that they were using their vehicles for business purposes. So, question, did you ever receive any kind of mileage log from Charlie Adelson? No. Did you ever ask for a mileage log? No. Do you know if the travel expense on his tax return is in fact tied to mileage or other charges? Do you have any recollection of how he captured the travel expense for the Dmd Pa? Mr. Loy, objection to form. Witness, most likely there was a note that he went to a seminar or a conference or incurred a fee to travel, and that's why it was deducted. Ms. Furman, would the travel expense from office to office, these different offices that he was traveling to, be compensable business expense travel? Answer, no, travel is away from home. Question, on the Dmd Pa statement there are entries for prepaid insurance and prepaid legal fees. Legal fees were $28,750. Is that just reflecting that there was sort of a credit that the Dmd Pa had paid legal fees to presumably an attorney, and they were in like a retainer arrangement? They hadn't been earned yet. Is that why it would be prepaid? Mr. Loy, objection to form. The witness, it was an expense, so that means there was disbursement of funds related to legal fees that were capitalized, meaning put on the balance sheet as a prepaid asset, and that's all we know. Ms. Furman, do you have any understanding of why the Dmd Pa would have paid these legal fees in 2016? Answer, do I have any understanding of why in 2016? That's a question that relates to, I suppose, what was happening through the media. Question, you didn't have any discussion specifically with Charlie about these? Because this is just a new entry. We've not seen it on the other tax returns. Right. Question, so if something like that new came up, I'm wondering if there was any discussion about it? Answer, I'm just not 100% certain, but I would have probably advised him that based on, how much he spent in legal fees, that it's not deductible related to his business of being a periodontist. If there's legal fees paid to defend a case outside of his practice, then I don't believe those are deductible. I think that's perhaps why we put it on the balance sheet and didn't deduct it on the return. Question, okay. So if he had hired an attorney to defend a malpractice lawsuit, that would have been a cost of doing business? Correct. And that would have shown up on your other cost list? Is that what you're saying? That's correct. Or he would have, yes, it's just a judgment call, really. And then for 2016, the K1 reflects that the income for Charlie in line 1 was $172,264, correct? That's accurate. And he took a distribution during the course of 2016, line 16D there of $180,000, right? Yes. Are there any loans or anything reflected on this 2016 tax return to the Adelson Institute, loans to or from Adelson Institute? I don't see anything in 16. Turn to 2017, the DMD 1120. We got an extension request, and so that was filed. So it has a date that it was date of 5/8 of 18 for the 2017 tax return. Is that correct? Yes. And the gross receipts of $404,266 on line 1, correct? Yes. And the cost of goods sold for that year were $47,034, correct. Compensation of officers for 2017, that would been payable to Charles Adelson, the $120,000 reflected on line 7, correct. And then on this one, the other deductions, let me look at that statement. The administrative fee is $6,806 for that, yes. And now the auto and transportation expense is $36,000 for that year, correct? Yes. And travel and continuing that is $14,000 for that year. I agree. Professional fees included $21,000. Is that generally describing fees that the Dmd Pa is paying to other professionals or for services like accounting or legal services? Yes, they are all grouped in there, yes. And in the statement 4 for Schedule L, the prepaid legal fees that were there at the beginning of the tax year or not there at the end of the tax year, to your understanding, what would that be reflective of? There wasn't any more fees paid that needed to be capitalized or non-deductible. Question, would that mean that those fees were actually moved off the balance sheet and treated as an expense at that point in that year? Answer, well, it can't be because professional fees deducted are only $21,000 prior. The opening balance of the prepaid asset was $28,000. Question, so how would that go to zero by the end of the tax year? Answer, maybe there was an allocation of a portion of the prepaid was charged to the expense, and then the other portion was just written off against this capital account and not taken through the P&L. And the ordinary comports, the K1 in 2017 reflects $98,886, correct? That's right. And a distribution of $48,685, that's correct. So at this point, Charles Adelson has had a decrease in his income from the Dmd Pa. Would you agree? Answer, that's accurate, yes. Okay, so let me check over there, make sure everything's going on because I'm looking at a different screen over here. Okay, thank you guys for being there and tuning in. Looks like everything's working right. Okay, let me try to change this and sit down now because I'm getting a little tired. Sometimes I just feel like standing instead of sitting around all day, right? Burns more calories. So appreciate everybody being there, and let's continue after I get something to drink, and I'll take a look at the comments later. Thank you. Okay, True Lifestyles, you're hilarious. She says, Richard, if he got the shampoo care package, he'll have a nice fro. If not, it will be a long, greasy mess. Yeah. Well, don't they have some sort of barber shop within the jail? They can get haircuts and stuff, right? Okay, let's continue on then. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so page 96. Do you have any recollection of discussing that decrease with him in context of preparing the tax returns? Any other discussions about the decrease in the income? Answer, not really. I don't recall asking him why his income is decreased. Question, do you remember him mentioning anything to you about the level of his work, level of his income and decreasing? Mr. Loy, objection to form. Witness, I knew he had some health issues, and I knew that he wasn't capable or able to put in the tremendous amount of hours he did in the earlier years. I knew that, okay, because he told me that, his mother told me that, but we didn't talk in detail about the significant decrease of his revenue production subsequent to 2014 or 15. It was just something that was there, Ms. Furman. So in terms of the impact of his back condition, answer, I just remember the mother telling me that he could not put the hours in anymore that he once did. Question, and did you have an understanding of whether that was, you're talking about Donna Adelson, correct? Yes, but that wasn't specific to the Adelson Institute. You're just saying she relayed. Answer, she was just making me aware that he couldn't work like he used to for whatever reason, I guess. Question, did you get any specifics in terms of the limits of what he was doing? No. And in terms of his medical condition, did you have an understanding of what that medical condition was? No, I didn't know specifically what his ailments were. No. Question, did you ever see him physically experience difficulty or discomfort when you were with him in person? Answer, I'm an accountant, not a doctor, I don't know, just guys talk to each other sometimes, about backs and stuff. So he might have mentioned that to me, but I don't remember with certainty. Question, so nothing stands out to you in terms of you seeing him in pain or experiencing pain or having difficulty? Answer, I do remember him telling me about that he has problems bending over and stuff and standing up for the many hours that he used to. I do remember that. When, I don't remember specifically. And in terms of how it impacted his practice? No, we didn't discuss that, but it was evident that his volume of production went down. And I do remember him telling me that he cannot do what he once did, 12, 14-hour days working into the night. I do remember him telling me that he just couldn't do it anymore. Question. You recall those discussions in terms of him at least relaying to you at some point after the fact that he had these long hours that he was working and that he was no longer able to do that? Answer. The discussion was based on what the estimated taxes, we would always propose he pay a quarterly estimate, and then he would say, I'm not working as much. So that's really what it was related to, the accounting of what he was going through at the time, I believe, and that we would have had him pay in perhaps $200,000 a year or maybe more. And then all of a sudden it was dropping to like maybe $10,000 a quarter, something noticeably less, so. Question. And do you recall whether he ever indicated that he did have a decrease in work activity because of the negative publicity surrounding the Markel murder and Catherine Magbanua's arrest? Mr. Loy. Objection to form. Witness. As an accountant, he never told me that, but as a business person, of course, it seems relevant. Ms. Furman. But you don't recall him specifically describing the practices leaving him and not bringing him back to perform services? Mr. Loy. Objection to form. Witness. He may have told me that, he was losing some of his contacts for whatever reason. I don't think he necessarily blamed the publicity of the trial. I mean, he was really out there working his ass off for a couple of years, and I know that it changed. Ms. Furman. Did you have an understanding that he continued to try to bring in new practices to work with? Answer. I mean, he was always productive. I don't know, what kind of leads and referrals he was working on, but he always seemed productive to me. He would come by and scrub, so I assumed he was working or meeting with doctors or whatever, Question. But he never indicated to you that he was not looking for new clients or anything like that? Answer. No, he never would discuss that with me. Question. We can turn to the 2018 Dmd Pa Tax Return. The one I have printed here has a date of 8/23/21. Yes, that would have been the production dates. Unfortunately, it's a system glitch. They should have let us change the date once we issued the return, but... Question. But you don't have any reason to believe... Answer. This was timely filed. I don't have any reason to think it wasn't. So it certainly was not filed August 23rd, 2021? No, it sure wasn't. Question. Okay. Gross receipts of $410,000 this year, and then compensation of officers to Charlie of $125,000, correct? Yes. And here in terms of these statements, there's a Schedule K described in the statements and Section 199A entry. That's a new entry on these tax forms, at least from what I'm seeing. Do you have an understanding of what that specified service income, W-2 wages, what that pertains to? I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Yes, it's page 3316 in your documents at the bottom. It's Schedule K, Statement 3. I'm sorry. Okay, yes, that's the new law that came into effect in 2018 called Qualified Business Income Deduction. That's where a self-employed person / business owner has a deduction related to 20% of his net income on his personal return. This information on the K-1 is what passes through personally so that the personal return can make the determination of the qualification of this qualified business income deduction. It's just an information statement right here, which should summarize what the wages were and the net income was, and also the adjusted, unadjusted basis of the assets. You see this in S-Corp returns and 1065 partnership returns. These are pass-through entities. Question. So on the Schedule K in the 1120S itself, this Statement 3 is in the section that says it appears to pertain to investment income. Investment income Statement 3. Question. 17A, or it says, maybe not, it says 17A is investment income, investment expenses, and then 17D is other items and amounts and directs you to the page, to the page 3, and I'm just trying to understand what is the significance of this Statement 3 in terms of Answer. Right. Okay. So when you look at the K1, you see code 17 on the bottom right. Other information? Yes. Right. So this other information is for purposes of the pass-through deduction related to this qualified business income deduction. It's just summarizing the three components, which is net income, wages, and the unadjusted basis of the fixed assets. Question. Okay, so the wages correspond to his $125,000. That I can track. What is specified service income? Is that some set percentage? Right. Well, the law provided, and it still does, that if it's a profession related to medical, attorneys, accounting, engineers, or consulting to generalize, those are considered specified service as opposed to trade or business. Specified service means that if your income personally, if it exceeds a certain level, which is, if you're single, I believe it was 250. If you're married, I think it's 450. If your income is over that threshold, then if it's specified, the availability of the qualified business income deduction is diminished by the amount of income over that threshold. Right. So that's what that's for. And his income at the time was lower than the threshold. So he probably got the deduction personally. Okay. Which is below the line, actually. We will see that followed through to his individual return. Okay. Question. So 2019, his gross receipts are $235,928, and the compensation of his officers is the $128, correct? That's it. He ends up with an ordinary income of $2,500 on his K1 for that year. That's correct. Page 3186. So this is something to do with a transportation deduction, right? So this is because he was depreciating vehicles. Okay. And so there's a 70% was attributed to the business use of the vehicle. Is that right? Yes, that's accurate. And then commuting miles, it's hard to follow this, but total miles is listed there. And then that percentage business miles flows from the 70%, right? Correct. So the input is just the total number of miles driven for the year. Answer. Well, no, it's not really miles. It's based on the reduction of depreciation related to a vehicle that's considered a personal vehicle. And he only gets a portion of the depreciation because a vehicle is not allowed oh my God, accelerated or additional bonus depreciation because it's not considered a sport utility like an SUV. So the law at the time was that if you have a vehicle, it's considered listed property and the depreciation deduction is limited. And then it's further limited by the business use. So at the time, we knew he wasn't 100% business anymore. So we gave him 70%. Okay. And that was just an accountant's judgment right there. Question. So that's not any kind of log or anything like that you're talking about? Answer. If it was an audit, there could be compliance required regarding that use, but it's a pretty small deduction, 1,383. So, it wouldn't probably scrutinized. And then in terms of a K1, the non-deductible expenses here on page 3188, right? Why would there be this excluded meals and entertainment expense? Answer. Well, at the time, the law said that the meals and entertainment was 50% deductible. So if he paid $20,000 a year in M&E, taking out dentists or going to work, going to lunch or whatever, then the law said at the time you get 50% to deduct and the other 50% is non-deductible. So the excluded amount would be the non-deductible amount that was listed there? Correct. Okay, and turn back to statement. So the other, is this meals and entertainment? Does the other, yes. Other deductions shows up 7996 on the actual page 3184. The other half shows up there as it can take a deduction. Yes, correct. All right, and turning to 2020, we got income gross 197,252. Court reporter, I'm sorry. Answer. 197,252 and compensation of officers of 106,000, correct? Yes. Meals there, 8,181. on the other deductions of Statement 2, correct? Correct. And travel and continuing ed of $19,150, right? Correct. PPP loan is the next page, comes in, and it is showing as a liability because he got a PPP loan during that year. At that point, is not known whether it's going to be forgiven. Okay, so his other cost for that year are $6,000. Statement 8, $6,114, correct. And then you did 60% allocation for business use of the vehicles in this form 4562. Right, take that down a notch. All right, and he gets reported income of $11,516 on the K1. Net income, correct. On this year, it has a note about shares, 200 shares. I don't see that on prior ones. Answer, that was a new line item put on the K1 for 2020. Question, you had to start reporting people's share, how many shares they own or something? Answer, Treasury comes out with these diagnostics, so it was just something that was new for 2020. Question, okay, there's something about a loan here somewhere. Okay, this is the last page, 2864. Is there a loan outstanding? Answer, 2864. Okay, these are, yes, the IRS required basis calculations starting in 19 or 20, probably 19. And then this is a basis calculation of his stock to show if he has basis. And then the secondary part is debt basis. So there must have been a loan on the books, like a shareholder loan at the end of the year in 2020. He put money in, and that's why it's reflected there on that debt basis. Yes. So the end of the year he put in, actually, he paid himself back. On the balance sheet, you can see the loan from shareholders starting the year at $25,610 and ending the year at $52,30. So that means he had a loan repayment. That's what's reflected here on this. Okay, I see it. Detailed worksheet. Question, you're talking about line 19 on the Schedule L? Yes. Okay, I have got some few questions on the individual tax returns, which I understand you don't have in front of you. So to the extent you need to refer to those documents behind you, just starting with the 2013 tax return, this is Charles Adelson's individual tax return, a 1040 form, correct? 2013? Yes. Let me pull it up. Charlie Personal 2013. Yes. So there's no wages, salary, tips, no W-2 income being reported to him, correct? There's no W-2, but there is income related to him personally based on what was deducted from the PA of $175,000. So that's the line 21, other income? Yes. So if you turn to statement 1, answer, right. See, this was the first year my office took it over in 2013. So again, it had another accountant's partial year, and it may have been the way we grouped it at the end of the year. Why he didn't have compensation, I don't know, but this was deemed to be other income that was taxable and that he also paid self-employment tax on. So this is just like wages. It's taxed as income, plus he's paying Social Security tax on it. Question, and this is an amount shown on Statement 1 under miscellaneous income from Charles Adelson, Dmd Pa on the 175, correct? Right, correct. So it's a PA, and on that PA return for 2013, we show at line 7 that compensation of officers, right? 175, right? Right. Okay, and then for 2013, we've also got income flowing to him on his individual tax return at line 17, which includes S-Corps via Schedule E, right? Well, that's where the K-1s come into his return on Schedule E, page 2. Right. So Schedule E, if you turn to that page, it's Adelson 3022, correct? Yes. And so you've got 4 different entities there. You've got Adelson Institute Prosthetics, Dentistry LLC, Charles Adelson Dmd Pa, and Woodmont Dental Holdings, correct? Answer, I see 3 entities. Where did you get 4? On page 3022. Answer, I'm looking at my actual copy of the return. In my system, I have column A, B, and C completed. I don't know what D is. You said there's 4. There's Adelson Institute, Adelson Dmd Pa, Woodmont Dental. Which other one did you say? Question, I have a Dentistry LLC. Answer, Dentistry LLC. That sounds perhaps like it's the Adelson Institute. What number do you have on there? Question, so I'm looking, are you in section 28? Answer, well, I'm on schedule 2, part 2 of the 2000. Question, I think that is correct because I think there's no employer identification number next to just Adelson Institute for Aesthetics and Implant. And yours is longer, so yours, it all fit on one line. Okay. On mine, it actually, okay, all right. So there is no Dentistry LLC then. Answer, okay. Question, all right, that helps me. I didn't know what that was. So for Adelson Institute, when you follow down to the next section where it has the $14,913 non-passive income from Schedule K1, yes, that's the Adelson Institute K1 income, correct? That's what this is reflecting, yes. Okay, and then his Dmd Pa is reflected in the 396,750, correct? So 396,750 corresponds to the S Corp line 21 total business income. Okay. And then Woodmont is 411,000 non-passive income. No, it's not. I'm sorry. That's the total of those two numbers. Okay, got it. And then, as you said, the self-employment tax he reports on the Schedule SE, the 175, correct. So he pays total SE on the 175 statement 1, okay, and statement 1, okay. And then here, all right, so page 3063, wait, I don't know if you have these pages, I guess like I do. S Corps are a total of 411, that's the K1 income, and then the miscellaneous is the 175, okay, all right. I think that's all I've got on 2013, other than there's no SEP contribution noted there on the 2013, right? Answer, correct. The reason there is no SEP is because he was the owner of the Adelson Institute, and for him to have a SEP on this personal return would mean that he has to cover it for the employees. So that's why there's no SEP. There was no SEP because the plan was not for the employees, it was for him personally. Okay, so does he get a SEP at some point in here? Subsequent years he does, correct. Okay, this year we don't have it, correct. Question, we will get to one where he does. 2014 individual tax return 1040. This year he's got income of 120 reported as wages. So that would be a W-2 from Adelson DMD, right? Let's see here. Correct, 120. And then Schedule E is the income that's flowing through from the K1s. K1, correct. Question, Schedule E, I have to go look at another statement, non-passive income, right? Okay, so all the way at the back page, statement number 12 of Schedule E is where you see Adelson Institute, a non-passive loss that year of $9,284. And Charles Adelson, DMD, has this non-passive income of $894, correct. All right, I'm going to turn to 2015. Mr. Loy, Mr. Shapiro, I'm noticing you're adjusting your back. If you need to take a break, let us know. Witness, you see that? Ms. Furman, I know. I probably should let the witness. I shouldn't be doing that, but you want me to open up 15? Furman, we can take a break and come back at 2015. Witness, okay. Okay, so then they take a break. She says, I'll thank Alex for reminding me I'm not a slave driver. Videographer off the record at 2:33 p.m. Okay, videographer starts back at 2:45 p.m. Ms. Furman, Mr. Shapiro, the 2015 individual tax return for Dr. Charles Adelson, the 1040, you have that before you? I do. And that reflects wages were paid to him on line 7 of 183,000, correct. And then he had the line 17 S Corp income from the K1, that would be the Dmd Pa income, is that correct? Yes. And this tax return was filed January 5th, 2017, correct? Let's see about that. I know it was on extension until 10/17/16, but what date did you say it was filed? The date I have on the copy is January 5th, 2017. Answer, I mean, I don't remember why it would have been filed delinquent. It should have been filed timely unless this is 2015 or 16? 2015. Answer, yes. I know there was an IRMA exemption a couple years ago where certain returns were not due until January 31st of the year subsequent to filing. Okay. Answer: I don't know if this is one of them, but I don't think any of his files have ever been filed. Any of his returns have ever been delinquent. Question: and I have a processing receipt, it looks like, that showed that January 17 date as well. Answer: right. Yes, again, this is our software. It very well could have been that this was the Hurricane Irma year where you were allowed to file up until 131, but it's possible. It's very unlikely that any return was filed delinquent. Question: okay, I think that's right. 2015 sounds like Irma. Yes, I remember something was going on. All right. Now, does it show a tax estimate as a tax penalty, but that's just in connection with the estimated taxes not being paid each quarter that they were due, correct? Answer: that's right. Right. Yes, that would have been 100% right. Question: and then in statement 15, the Adelson Institute K1 income flows through the 119,000 of income that he got that year from the Adelson Institute, correct? Correct. Question: as well as the Charles Adelson DMD income of 698,641. That's accurate. Turning to 2016 tax return, I do have an amended tax return for, actually, it looks like an amended 2015 tax return was filed in 2018. Okay. And there's an explanation of changes. It says original return inadvertently did not report 2015 Form 1099 income and Schedule D proceeds. Okay. So do you see that sort of amended that 1040X form that they call it? Answer: I hope so, because I created it. Okay. So it's very likely that he would have not given us a 1099 or something. Sometimes there is an amended return here. Unfortunately, it's not Harvey Adelson. Let me pull it up. A lot of times they forget to give us 1099s for different brokerage accounts. In this case, he either noticed it or he sent us something in the subsequent year that made us ask, why didn't you have it in the prior year? Question: okay, so the net change noted there reflects it was the adjusted gross income. Right. So it's a negligible change in gross income because he probably had, in other words, they have transactions that are stock sales and they have basis to offset those stock sales. And if we didn't amend and he had 1099 stock sales of, let's say, 500,000 or $1 million or whatever it is, the IRS would send him a notice in a year or two and say, you owe tax at 20 or 30% of proceeds. And then we have to battle and say, well, no, the proceeds are offset by the basis of the sales of the individual stocks and or funds or whatever. Okay. Answer: so that's probably what happened here. We probably were given a 1099 subsequent to filing from another year. And we said, well, why didn't you have it in this year? And he said, oh my God, I had it. You didn't ask about it. I said, well, we didn't ask about it because we didn't know about it, and vice versa. Question: so on this tax return for 2015, the amended one, at least I'm looking at, there's this entry on Schedule E. I think there's several of those. So this is Schedule E, the one that has 2161 Southwest 46th Avenue is the first entity listed. Answer: I don't have that. I have 519 Southwest 27th Avenue, which is not one of his, this is a real estate entity. Then I have 1801 Fort Lauderdale LLC. Those are not his, those are real estate entities. I'm not sure I see what you're talking about there. I mean, unless there's a question. I'm looking at the one that there's a note, entire disposition of non-passive activity. Okay. That's what I'm trying to locate. I have got it in front of me. Answer: right. So that would be the disposition of the Adelson Institute. Okay. Answer: because once the K1 terminates, you put that in their final return and it creates that asterisk and that footnote down there. The entire disposition of non-passive activity. That means he sold the Adelson Institute stock. Question: are you seeing that on the tax return somewhere? Answer: yes, I'm seeing it on Schedule E. Yes, Schedule E. Page 2. Yes, page 2, I see that, but that page 2, the page 1 before that references 2161 Southwest 46th Avenue. Answer: okay, so page 1 would be, okay, so there are real estate entities on this return, right? Right. 1918, 1984, 29th Avenue. Is that what you're talking about? Question. I've got that one. Yes. Answer. So he had either joint venture investments or he had partial ownership investments in these real estate entities in that year, 2015. Question. Right. But where do we get the entire disposition of a non-passive activity? Because non-passive activity I take to be something other than these rental properties. Answer. Right. So that would be Adelson Institute. That's the non-passive activity. Question. So it's not included here anywhere other than just this? Answer. The income is included. That's what the 119 is. The return is making a footnote that he disposed of that asset. That K1 won't be appearing on a future filing. Question. Okay, so if I go to statement 12, will it take me there? Statement 12, yes, okay. So there I see the Adelson Institute and there's an asterisk. Okay, entire disposition on passive activity. Answer, that's what it is. Question, all right, so there it says 119,264, right. Question, but I see line 41 on this SE says 842,000. That's what I can't answer, right. So SE, form SE, is that what you're saying? Question, yes. Answer, form SE. Question, yes. Answer, so that's a self-employment tax form. The easiest thing to do is perhaps let me look at your book because I would have to generate that. What number are you talking about right here? Question, this entry here, and then what that corresponds to. Answer, see, that's a total grouping of lines 26, 32. So that's taking this minus 18 there, and then it's taking all the summations of these guys right here at 32. So it's 86,591 minus the 18,031. Question, and the 86,591 is? Answer, the culmination of all the K1s, which is statement 12. Question, okay, that's where I just was, statement 12. So statement 12. Question, but that's got both Adelson Institute and it's got the DMD, but answer, right, because those are all his active entities that he received K1s for. Question, okay, so when it says entire disposition of non-passive activity, it doesn't mean the whole figure? Answer, no. See, it goes to statement 12 and it has this asterisk here. Question, then you go to the asterisk, which is this asterisk. Answer, and see it right there, entire disposition of non-passive, which is this one. Question, just that one. All right. Answer, yes. Question, thank you. Answer, okay, I don't want to enroll in tax school again. Question, what year are we in? 2015 here. 2015, okay. And then for 2015, we do have that cancellation of debt income, right? Answer, right. Question, so that's going to flow through on the individual tax return that shows up, for example, in this U.S. and foreign source income summary statement 22 for the Adelson Institute prosthetics. That's the income of the 117,000. Answer, right. So that cancellation of debt income is included in the K1. Question, yes. Well, it's included there, but the K1 is a loss for that year. Answer, no. Question, the ordinary income amount on page? Answer, no. Question, statement 6. Answer, no. In that year, it's 119 of surplus of positive income, 119,264. That's the Adelson Institute in 2015. Question, what line are you looking at? Answer, well, I'm looking at Schedule E, page 2 for the Adelson Institute, but that's what you're talking about, the Adelson Institute income. Question, right, but I'm looking at the individual return where it says the K1 from Adelson Institute was a negative 14,504. Answer, what year? Question, 2015 for depreciation assets placed in service after 1986. Answer, no, you're looking at a footnote related to a K1 for a depreciation adjustment related to the Adelson Institute. Question, so the Adelson Institute income is the statement 18, the 117 number, 117,000? Answer, yes, I agree. Question, okay, there you go. All right, go to the next year, 2016 wages for Charles Adelson. Okay. Question, 23,447, and makes me look at a statement. Okay. Statement just says wages from Adelson, Dmd Pa. All right. Answer, that's correct. Question, Schedule E income of 212,000. Answer, those are the K1s. Question, well, this is 2016. Answer, right. Question, so Schedule E. Answer, page 2. Question, page 2 of the Schedule E. Answer, yes. Okay. Woo, I think I need a break now. Okay, that's probably enough for today. I mean, we're just going to have to do another part to this because my voice is croaky, as you guys can all hear. So let's take a look at all the great comments. I appreciate, again, I feel like a broken record, but I'm always kind of bowled over at how many people are so interested in all this stuff. So that's why I keep doing it, despite a few negative Nellies out there who make obnoxious comments. But I think the vast majority of people are still watching and obviously still interested in this. So thank you for being here, True Lifestyles and 5 Lady Cymbeline. Yeah, exactly. So we're all awaiting Katie's sentencing. So I think I'm going to start calling Katie Magbanua now instead of Magbanua, even though, according to my Filipino-American relative, the correct pronunciation is almost certainly Magbanua. Yesterday, during the interview with David Latt, who has really been covering this case from the beginning, and he was actually friends with Dan Markel. So he's also Filipino-American, and he said, no, he would just pronounce it Magbanua because, a lot of times when people come to the United States, they just make their last names more easily pronounced and do not necessarily pronounce it the way that it was back in their ancestral country. So we'll just say Magbanua. I think that's easier to say than trying to put the emphasis on the new. Okay. Yeah. Hi, Richard. Hi, Tony. Everybody here. 6 days to go. Hope Katie has fired her legal team and flips on the Adelson. Well, I don't think she would fire the legal team at this point, but yeah, maybe. Yeah, we're still waiting. Get Wendi and Donna. They're the masterminds. Diehard fans back. Yeah. Thanks for being here, Pam, also. Yes, can't wait for the 29th. Exactly. Yeah. So Mentor Lawyer and I might be doing a joint live stream later that day. We're still in communication about that. So yeah. More Maine lobster calls with Charlie and June. I don't know. It doesn't seem like Charlie and June are talking, or at least based on True Lifestyle's amazing sleuthing. She didn't note that the phone calls were between him and June, but rather they were more a ton of phone calls between him and some Filipino-American therapist. Okay. Hey, Antoine, the gentleman. Hi, Angela. Oh my God, my voice is gone. Well, so much for that. Okay, I'm gonna drink some tea because I've been feeling like I'm on the verge of getting sick for the last few days. That kind of gross feeling. So start packing for the Tallahassee. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean that's the fun part about doing YouTube is that you can meet more people that way and people with similar interests, and then invite each other to be in each other's shows and all that. So it's fun. Hi, Sophia. Thank you for being here again. And yeah, I'm not sure if you pronounce it Mimi 100%. Yeah. So infuriated hearing Charlie bragging about the epinephrine injections on unwilling patient. Oh, yeah, doesn't deserve an MD or any insurance money. Yeah, I mean, he seemed pretty callous about the patient who was having problems. Yeah, pretty awful. Charlie will not be treating any patients anytime soon unless they're wearing a jumpsuit on. Yeah. I'm not sure if I don't think the prison system would let a prisoner who happens to have been a dentist give medical treatment to other prisoners. Somehow I don't think they would allow that. Yeah, probably not. Yeah, that just seems a little weird. Yeah. The guy is the biggest liability. Yeah. Okay. Do they mention his malpractice lawsuits as well? I'm not sure if you're referring to the depositions, but yeah, so far they haven't talked about the malpractice lawsuits in this CPA deposition. Keep saying comments saying Charlie bought his dental degree, any proof document. Oh, where was that? Was that Fancy Fiction? I think in one of Fancy Fiction's videos. Yeah, maybe. Or was it Paper Bear? Now I can't remember which YouTube channel it was, but they did flash up some sort of official looking typed up interview with somebody who was probably a friend of Harvey Adelson's, who talked about, Charlie having some problems during dental school, and Harvey having to use his influence to help his son graduate or get over some claim that he had cheated on an exam. I'm not really sure about that, though. So if someone has more details and remembers that, please let us know in the comments. Worse than that, okay, LJ is here. Thank you. His father, Harvey, is accused of pushing Charlie through to get him graduated. Go watch Fancy Fiction's YouTube channel where there's a police report interview. Okay, yeah, so that's what I was just mentioning. Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, hit that like button. Please subscribe if you're not already. So now I've been seeing some commenters saying that it could actually be even 2 or 3 years before there could be a trial for Charlie if he doesn't have some sort of plea deal. So, which means that, geez, I guess it's still going to be at least another 2 years or so that I will do more of the Charlie Adelson, Dan Markel types of live streams, which, I'm personally very interested in, and pleasantly surprised that so many people care about the case also. Yeah. Okay. So hi, I'm Soft Kitchen. Thank you for being here. Oh yeah, exactly. Travel deductions for the therapeutic massages. Yeah, that would be interesting to see, what were those underlying bills that accounted for it was a really big travel expense, more than 20,000 in 1 year. Yeah, Charlie probably cheated on medical. Yeah, well, he was in dental school, not medical school. I don't think he was brilliant enough to get into a medical school. Yeah, he wants to be a race car driver. Yeah. Yeah, 6 more days for Katie's sentencing. Oh, well, he looked like Bozo the Clown or normal guy. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he has to come out in his orange jumpsuit, probably the orange jumpsuit, right? Like they don't get them cleaned up and wearing suits unless it's the actual trial. Yeah. Richard, oh yeah, the shampoo package that you can buy at the Leon County Jail. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, great. Thank you, Tony. Let's see. Yeah, long greasy mess. Yeah, let me take a drink. Thank you. Thank you. Chip in and buy a Louis Vuitton bag. Get your shot. That would be pretty expensive. No, I don't think she would want to be interviewed at this point. I mean, and she's still going to be an important witness in the case. So, yeah. Let's see. Long hair Jesus. Okay. He may have joined a Latin King gang in jail. Teardrop. Yeah. Who knows? Whatever it takes to survive in jail, right? But it sounds like he's not actually being housed with the regular inmates, or maybe he doesn't have a roommate. I'm not sure. Okay. Fancy Fiction's video shows statements by Harvey's former friend seems to want to assist Charlie through dental school. They apparently had a big falling out. Charlie Adelson claimed harassment and sued. Wow. Okay. Charlie Adelson claimed harassment from what? By the friend? By the former friend of his father's? Okay, please give more details. I'm very interested in knowing that. Yeah, Charlie seems to love suing. Like every other year, he seems to have a different lawsuit that he's involved in, or he gets sued too. So, yeah, I'm gonna send a professional inquiry. Strike him off for malpractice. Better still, life him off for murder. Okay. State of Florida will get Wendi. Oh, hi, Patty. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for caring about the case and people being interested, despite my voice failing. Yeah. Where's the video? Okay, what video? Okay, maybe I'm way backlogged on all the comments, so maybe you guys responded already. Yeah, tell June we all support her. Yes. Or their barbershop. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm pretty sure I've always heard, I mean, they have to get their haircuts, right? And so I mean, look at those fancy hairstyles, those braids that Katie got for her trial. Those were really elaborate, very well done hair braids. I've got to give props for her fancy braids, because there's no way I could replicate that myself. It's really tough to braid your own hair. Yeah. Bubba the barber. Yeah. Yeah, I won't say she's my source. Yes, inmates are barbers. The Latin Kings will give Charlie a discount. Okay. Tuto, Tato, and Tattoo rolling on the floor laughing. Okay, what gang do you think Chuck will find a home with in prison? The AB, probably not. Blacks, highly doubtful. Well, maybe Charlie has some rap skills that he picked up in the 80s. Yeah, Latin Kings, be in protective custody with the peds, with the pedophiles. No, I mean, but he hasn't been charged with pedophilia or any sort of like sex crimes, though. So why would he be housed with the pedos? Yeah. I'd be surprised if they allow scissors. They don't even allow toothbrush. Yeah, but there's got to be some special place where they go in the jail where they can, all the prisoners can get their haircuts, though. Yeah, maybe not scissors. Maybe those nice, like little electric trimmers. Yeah. Be happy to give Charlie the jailhouse buzz. Needs to emulate Jesus as he can. Lots of laughter. Charlie's defense will tell him to look innocent and groom up. They'll probably give him some fake glasses. Yeah, Katie's school teacher look didn't work. That's right. Gangs in the big house are drawn along racial lines, 99%. Yeah. Okay, so is there going to be a Jewish gang in the Leon County Jail? Yeah. Let's see. I'm looking forward to seeing the look he's going for, a clean cut or dirt bag. Okay. Well, even his clean cut look still comes out looking like a dirt bag right as soon as he opens his mouth. Yeah, Charlie will join the white skinheads gang then. Okay, that'll be weird. Okay. Charlie will be wearing glasses and drinking smart water. That's true. Yeah. Well, maybe he's trying to look like Jesus so they think he's cool and leave him alone. Well, I don't know. Armani suit. Yeah, I doubt he'll show up on the 29th in an Armani suit. Yeah. Skins don't align with their mortal ethno-religious enemy. Okay, donning a teardrop. Oh, thank you, Jackson. Thanks for all your support and everything. Yeah, sorry I haven't had time to respond to all the messages, and sometimes I feel like I don't even have time to respond to every single comment anymore. It's getting to be really busy. So yeah, if he's too pretty, they'll mess with him, according to him. Yeah. Okay. Chuck will get extorted. He'll be paying for protection. Yeah, who knows? Let's see. Even though Charlie ain't pretty, I bet he's had a new girlfriend every week, just like he had on the outside. Okay. Well, you never know. Yeah. He'll be clean shaven, his haircut. He's still trying to get a bond if he goes to trial. He also wants to look innocent. Wendi will also wear the Amish outfit too. Okay. Yeah, I could not find that outfit online. So maybe it was like a custom made dress or something made by an exclusive designer. Yeah. Oh, he's not going to get bond. Yeah. Amish outfit. Okay. I have a feeling Charlie had a thug fantasy and end up in jail, his dream country. Yeah, you never know. Yeah, who knows what they found on his computers. Although he claimed during one of the depositions that he doesn't even own a computer. Really? Okay. Okay, Emily, start binging Fancy Fiction's FBI wiretaps on this case now. They're short and well worth it for profiling. The Adelson's Fancy digs up a lot of supporting paperwork. Yeah, pretty amazing. Yeah, great channel. Otherwise, Israel might be his destination. He has the means to be at flight risk. Yeah. Wendy's innocent Amish dress look she wore the past 2 trials. Charlie will, whatever that is, 1,000,000% rat on his mastermind sister. He really hates her. He'll never flip on mommy. Yeah, I sort of agree with that he's not going to turn the tables on his own mother. I'm glad so many of you are asking questions about this case. It's truly a tragedy that this Donna, Charlie, and Wendi conspired to kill a man for the benefit of a selfish, already wealthy woman. Emily continued, like LJ said, there's a police interview about Charlie's degree and Harvey's violent reaction to this former doc friend and Charlie's lawsuit. People from their past have been coming for it. Well, good. I mean, that's what they deserve. I mean, I'm sure they've made lots of enemies over the years that they've been living down there and practicing. Yeah, he won't rat on little sister, just complain about her being an old single mom, rich one, though, from her son's money. Okay. Yeah, I agree with this. Charlie will never flip on mommy. The state really wants to get Wendi. I pray this happens. Insurance companies must be yeah, exactly. Well, I did email a very brief email to one of the attorneys in the insurance case, just letting them know about the information out there on Fancy Fiction as well as True Lifestyles channel. Didn't get a response, but that's normal. I didn't really expect the guy to respond to me. Yeah. 37-year-old Victoria's Secret model with 2 kids? No thanks. Yeah. Well, now I bet he would much rather be with a Victoria's Secret model with 2 kids than be stuck in jail with the people there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Yeah, so far I don't really see enough evidence. There's like ways, I don't know. It's really a big burden, high burden of proof in a criminal case. Yeah. Yeah, you pay for it, but so hard to collect anything. That's right. They will fight tooth and nail. Yeah. Let's see. Charlie prefers 19-year-old Colombian. Well, yeah, except as he said, except if they have fat legs, even though that 19-year-old girl seemed to be pretty into him for a little bit. She ran cross country, but she still had fat legs, so he was afraid that she would probably explode. And then his friend said something about, yeah, those Latin women, end up being three-eyed. Yeah. So we heard that on Fancy Fiction. Okay, Charlie's trial will bring about new things based on everything currently. Yes, a lot of it is circumstantial, but she had the most to gain with motive. Exactly. Yeah. His income, he declares, I wonder if, of course, it doesn't include his cash deals. That's why he had so many piles and piles of cash stapled together at home. Yeah. Let's see, Patty, this doesn't include money made from selling steroids, cash payments on dental work, insider trades. Yeah. I hope Mentor Lawyer is in the courtroom on the 29th, as well as Tallahassee Democrat. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I sure hope so, too. I don't see why they wouldn't be continuing to cover it. Yeah. Let's see. When Michael Weinstein, Charlie's first attorney and lifelong friend, was running for office, he said he cut all ties with Charlie. Yep, that was probably a smart thing for him to do if he wants to have a political career. Yeah, forgot the loan sharking money he made also. Yeah. Michael Weinstein's father, Peter, is a powerful political figure, and Wendy's godfather. Initially, they were helping the Adelsons. Who knows now? Yeah, exactly. I was once on disability. It's a serious matter. Charlie Adelson cannot, not make money to pay his lawyers because he's probably in jail for life. Yeah, but he's still got all the savings and investments and passive income. Yeah, he needs to make an offer of judgment, seemingly 20% disability, cease bleeding of attorney. Yeah, got a deal. Yeah, no, thank you, Angela. Yeah, I really agree with a lot of the comments I've seen you post on different YouTube channels. Yeah, get a helper. I don't know who wants to, is anybody somewhere around me? I don't know, wants to get together to help read everything together. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, never worry about negative people. Yeah, I think I'm going to just start blocking some of the negative people because I don't even want to take my time to read their dumb comments and respond to them. Yeah. Saw your comment last night. Please say a word about the witch that influenced Samantha Meg Banua and then is seen visiting Katie in prison. Yeah, crazy development. Yeah. Well, actually, it happened quite a long time ago, right? Well, wasn't the visit from, what's that lady's name again? Kari Dodd Herrero Cabello, something to that effect. It's on those news articles mentioning Samantha Ches Megbanua. So that was Katie's oldest brother's ex-wife, who is now in prison herself for a total of about 10 years for embezzling roughly, it was over $1 million from her former employer, which was an accounting firm. So Samantha, in her letter that she wrote up trying to ask for a shorter sentence, she was saying that she was influenced by a witch and she had given over $600,000 of those embezzled funds to that person, Kari Dodd something Cabello. And that was someone who had actually visited Katie at least once. Maybe it was just one time. Was that from True Lifestyles YouTube channel recently, where she found out that this so-called spiritual healer person, Kari Dodd, had visited Katie once in was it 2016 or 2017? Yeah, it didn't seem like that person had been visiting repeatedly. So there's some sort of connection there. So, I mean, that makes me feel that more likely the money that the former sister-in-law embezzled from her employer probably did mostly go to this woman, the so-called spiritual healer witch person. But then what happened to the extra $500,000 that Samantha stole? I mean, could it have gone to Katie's attorneys for her legal fees? It could be. Yeah. So we're all just speculating, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Should call it the Killer Institute. Yeah. Okay. Great content. Yeah. Thank you guys also for being out there and caring about Dan Markel and the Markel family. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I do need to get some rest, feeling like I'm getting sick or something. Yeah. Question and answer parts are most interesting. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. 2 years. Oh, yeah. Are you talking about the delay in Charlie's trial? Yeah, because there's just so much information. I mean, I personally feel overwhelmed just looking through his federal lawsuits and all the filings, all the papers. But then to think that he got a new attorney, so new attorney has even more stuff to wade through and get back to speed on. And there's probably going to be a lot of depositions of tons and tons of different witnesses. It looks like law enforcement interviewed a ton of people, Charlie's ex-girlfriends, not just June, but a bunch of ex-girlfriends and former friends. And I'm surprised that this CPA, Jay Shapiro, said in the deposition that he had not been contacted by law enforcement. Isn't that weird? I mean, maybe law enforcement didn't get tipped off that Jay Shapiro was their accountant. I mean, that's just really bizarre that law enforcement had not approached him, and rather it was actually the Adelsons that asked for any payroll records pertaining to Katie. Yeah, really, really strange. Yeah, so there's just like too many people involved in this very complex, convoluted case. So that's why, when we did the interview with Surviving the Survivor, the other YouTube channel yesterday, the other attorneys thought that it would probably take at least another year and a half, but I've seen other commenters say probably closer to 2 or even 3 years before Charlie's trial would happen. Yeah, but meanwhile, that means that there's even more evidence that can be accumulated. Like if Charlie is dumb enough to say anything that might sound fishy on his jail phone calls or through correspondence, maybe there will be more witnesses with good information who come forward in the next couple of years once they realize, okay, well, Charlie's at least locked up in jail, so I don't have to worry about being killed off or have some retribution for speaking with authorities. Yeah. Yeah, the law moves slow. Comfy? I don't know. Who knows how comfy he will be. Yeah. Let's see. Charlie's lawyers will need to think of everything and come up with alternatives for all the evidence. His lawyers don't work. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Lure June with a Louis Vuitton bag. Yeah. Imagine they hated Tallahassee so much they're going to be living in the big house all the time. Yeah. Orange is a new black at a beauty bar. Yeah. Braiding your own hair will give you very toned. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I am not going to try to do a real Katie Magbanua braided hairstyle. Yeah. They're called clippers. Yeah. Clippers. Okay. Chunky is a homeboy now. You got to be acting all gangster. Well, he tried to act all gangster, calling himself the maestro. Do you think Donna cries? Well, of course she does. Yeah. That's what June said, that Donna's eyes were all swollen, looked like she had been crying. She couldn't sleep. And this was all probably around 2016. Yeah, Donna's crying and having diarrhea in the middle of the night. Yeah, I'd say prison is a mess. It's bitterness that Wendi, if not Donna, are living a good life while he takes the fall. Yeah, that's right. No bond. Donna, dearest. If I were the prosecutor, I would offer Charlie 25-year sentence and rat out Wendi and Donna. Yeah, but on the other hand, that just doesn't seem fair that Sigfredo and Katie could be in there for life while Charlie has a hope of getting out before he dies. He could still enjoy a little bit of life. Yeah, if he gets out in 25 years. I always thought Harvey was not. I feel differently. Yeah. I mean, I almost feel like reading the Catherine Magbanua arrest affidavit, just to parse it through, because the lawyers yesterday that I talked to, they didn't think Harvey was in on it. And I was mentioning, well, there were phone calls, right, between Garcia and Harvey, and they said they thought it was just by accident, that maybe Sigfredo thought he was calling Charlie based on a number he got from Katie's cell phone. But we'll see. I mean, Fancy Fiction has really been on top of this case and feels 100% certain that Harvey was in on it. Yeah. Charlie always seemed to be skirting the law, being dishonest. Infuriated me to hear his story of lying to the FHPA, saying he was an ER doctor getting away with speeding and no DL. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Charlie's Latin name, we don't know. That's funny. Yeah. Wendy's phone should have been tapped too. Yeah. They're using WhatsApp a lot, right? Let's see. If you were Charlie, wouldn't, yeah, sure. If there is any sort of deal. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Richard. Yeah. Spiritually leaving your bank account of a sickness. Yeah, exactly. Gosh. Yeah. Your personality's better than mine, would have already blocked hateful comment. Well, sometimes, I mean, I just can't help wanting to like retort back without cursing, which is kind of hard, right? Yeah, I think Adelson's paid her legal fees. Yeah, it could have been indirectly. Yeah. Sure, you're welcome. Yeah, thank you for caring and supporting the channel and everything. Yeah, that is weird. Yeah, it's very strange that Jay Shapiro had not been contacted by law enforcement. I mean, what are they doing? Let's see. From the evidence available to the public, the prosecutor case is extremely weak against Charlie Boy. At first, I thought it was slammed dunk. Okay, well, maybe I'd have to think about it some more objectively, but I mean, I feel like there's tons of evidence that he's extremely guilty. I mean, all of his actions, the things that he said to people, that doesn't sound like anyone who is remotely innocent. Yeah. Okay, it's definitely not a slam dunk against Charlie. They had more on Katie. Okay, well, we'll be sure to look through the arrest warrants and parse it through some more again. So, okay, so it's been over an hour and a half now. I guess I will try to continue. I don't know if maybe I'd like to continue tomorrow, since it's not a work day tomorrow. So I need to go drink some tea. And Terry has been saying repeatedly to get slippery elm tea, which is supposed to be good for your throat. I've never even heard of it. Yeah, you're right. None of us are objective here. Yeah, but we've all been like totally into this, and feeling like at least some, if not all, of the Adelson family had a hand in murdering Dan Markel. Yeah, usually Fed cases are not pursued. Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and I'll do my best to schedule a live stream sometime tomorrow, probably starting in the midday or early afternoon. So really appreciate it. And if we have time, then it will be fun to add on people into the live stream too, if you guys are interested in being on again. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow.